Um, so we so I want to let everybody know we have it's a public meeting, and just like all of our public meetings, this morning's meeting is being recorded. So if you are on a phone as opposed to some other type of a device, you need to press *6 to mute your line. We have some invited guests this morning. So there will be, if there's media on the line, we'll have questions from the media at the end of the call, or end of the session, and we will please remember to conduct yourself with decorum. I don't think we're going to have any problems with that this morning. And excuse me, we will begin this morning's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Brown.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right. I'll also need the approval of the minutes of the May 14th, 2020 briefing session and the May 11th, 13th, and 15th administrative session.
So moved.
Thank you.
Commissioner Boyce, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, sir.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
The minutes have been approved.
All right. Now we'll move to the Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 325-20, resolution adopting a policy for the use of electronic signatures for the Board of Commissioners.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Long, Deputy County Administrator. Last week, the Board adopted Resolution 323-20, approving the use of electronic signatures for the Board of Commissioners. The resolution directed the Clerk's Office to draft a policy to be reviewed and approved by the County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, outlining the manner in which electronic signatures would be used by this Board. In consultation with the Prosecutor's Office, the Clerk's Office drafted a policy, and it was subsequently approved by the County Prosecuting Attorney's Office on Friday, May 15th. That policy is attached to this resolution as Exhibit A. In part, the policy ensures that multiple layers of security are utilized when the commissioners are signing documents that have been adopted by the Board. Access to DocuSign is limited to those individuals who have an express need to contact the system, and that the process of electronically signing documents remains straightforward, nimble, and highly mobile for the ease of use by each of the commissioners. I would like to take a moment to thank Clerk Dean Hindenlang, Nick Soulis, Harold Anderson, and Paul Thies in the Prosecuting Attorney's Office for their continued assistance in drafting this policy, and Adam Frumpkin, Julie Lust, and Nikki Milburn in the Data Center for helping to implement the system that allows for electronic signature use in short form. The reason this resolution was also added to the top of the agenda as well is that it makes it crystal clear that any resolution that you approve today can have access to the electronic signature should you so choose. Pending any questions, would recommend adoption of this resolution.
This is the last step, and then we learn how to use it, right?
That is correct,
That is
Commissioner.
correct.
I'd add the most exciting step.
If I could just, before you move for adoption, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Grady, may I ask a question? Okay, thank you. First of all, let me just recognize Dean and Chris for this. There's a lot of detail work that goes into sort of searching out for the right product and whatnot. And I think as we've transitioned into a more modern Franklin County, from our hearing room to these type of details, even to this video conferencing, I think Dean and Chris have been outstanding with the resources they've provided us. The one thing I want to just talk about real quickly is that, as county commissioners, we probably sign $1 billion worth of documents every year. And in that, you're inundated with so much information. And Chris, I want to be careful. while I am the biggest advocate for electronic signature, our volume is so intense in terms of, because the county's big and we're doing a lot of things. The volume is so intense. I want to be sure we just continue to have the layers of review that come with the turnaround of so much document, and with ease comes that sort of push through at a faster rate. And so I just want to caution everybody that, we as commissioners, we're going to need your help to continue to sort of cross the T's and dot the I's to make sure, and I'm talking to my staff too, that, the details are, because again, it's so much easier to do it electronically and we'll just be churning it out faster. And so there's a little bit of cautionary advice as we go to electronic. And believe me, I'm all for this electronic stuff, and I trust Dean and Chris at the highest level, but we've got to be careful because the county's big, do over $1 billion contracts and different things. And so that's my little diatribe there.
No, absolutely, Commissioner. And both Dean and I hear you loud and clear, and the other commissioners. So we intend this to be something that can be a tool, but in no way to replace the attention to detail that all three of you always have in signing documents that become binding and legal for the county.
Thank you.
I totally agree with you, Kevin. I think it's essential that we use this cautiously, and I've used DocuSign in the past. I want to thank you for mentioning the cautiousness that we need to maintain. It looks like we sign very quickly, but I know I look at the documents that are signed, and I know my colleagues, I know you both do, and we need to be cautious and do it well and not let those layers of the scrutiny go by the wayside, because we do sign our names to a lot of money being allocated, and Dean and Chris in particular, and Megan in purchasing. I know everybody goes through a lot to get these documents, and our directors too go through a lot to get the documents right. So if there are no other questions or comments, I'll move for approval of 32520.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner Brady.
Yes.
Resolution number 325-20 has been adopted. Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Resolution number 340-20, resolution authorizing a transfer of funds for the payment of debt service.
Good morning, Commissioners. Zach Blair with the Office of Management and Budget. This resolution will authorize various transfers, including just over $10 million from the general fund to the bond retirement fund for payment of the county's upcoming semi-annual debt service payment. The June 1st debt service payment will total $31.5 million, of which $19.9 million is currently held by the trustee for the Series 2018 sales tax-backed bonds. Pending any questions, would ask for your approval of this resolution.
I'll just say, if I could, Commissioner O'Grady, I'll just say this is such an important, as many counties, cities, and municipalities are struggling financially. It's, you all know my other world as an investment banker. Paying your debt service on time is critical to the future and the health of our county. And that we're in position to do that really speaks a lot to the strength of this county, because I can tell you now, there are many of my former clients and folks out there who will not have that ability, and they will be impacted by the COVID-19 revenue reductions that they've had to face. But it's great that we're in position. I want to recognize and thank Ken and Zach for your leadership. I think that's an area of strength of ours where we're second to none, and so this is a very important and significant payment that we're paying on time, which keeps our credit rating at the top of the chart, which is, by the way, the strongest credit rating that you can have in America, by the way. So thanks to my colleagues and thanks to the leadership of Ken and Zach.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Commissioner, I would also like to thank Lagrita Holloway, Senior Budget Officer in the Board of Commissioners, who is the one who has the privilege of working with the trustees to make sure that the payment gets made and get the confirmation that we have the record that it's been paid before June 1st.
So Zach, what you're saying, the real brains behind the operation over there that's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Always. Always.
Always.
Okay.
Lagrita was always the brains at Morpsey when I worked with her too. So I know what she does. I'll move for passage of 340-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 340-20 has been adopted.
Thank you,
Resolu-
Commissioner.
Hey, Zach, tell Lagrita she just earned herself some a pot of my chili when we get back to.
I think she's on here somewhere, Commissioner. She heard you.
Good.
Resolution number 341-20, Franklin County Commissioners' declaration of racism as a public health crisis.
Good morning, Commissioners. Deputy Administrator Keena Smith. On Tuesday, May 12, 2020, the Franklin County Board of Health declared racism as a public health crisis, acknowledging and calling out to the residents of Franklin County and beyond that racism is the root cause of deadly health disparities and inequities in our nation, and more intentional work needs to be done to eliminate it. Commissioners, you have a demonstrated track record of promoting racial equity, inclusion, and diversity in all aspects of county government. This commitment is most recently exemplified in the development and execution of the Franklin County Rise Together Blueprint for Reducing Poverty, the Innovating New Pathways to Shared Prosperity Economic Inclusion Task Force, and a historic investment in community-wide racial equity training and more. Today, you are poised to support Franklin County Public Health and strengthen your record of strong advocacy for the elimination of systemic racism with the passage of this resolution. Commissioners, we have several speakers this morning. First, I'll turn to Michael Daniels, Director, Franklin County Justice Policy and Programs.
Good morning, Commissioners. Office of Justice Policy and Programs is very proud to be a part of putting this resolution before you today. As you know, last fall and in the budget presentation that I gave last year, the Criminal Justice Planning Board under your leadership has already declared racial equity as a major component to what we need to be doing within the criminal justice system, making a concerted effort to look at racial equity at every point along the way. There's no more heinous way to use racism than to deprive someone of liberty or to take apart a family unnecessarily. We are strongly committed to continuing that work this year, and we thank you for your leadership.
Thank you, Michael. Next, we have Joy Bivens, Director, Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services.
Thank you, Commissioners. I will be brief as I can, but I wanted to make sure I was honored to speak on this particular resolution because not only is it business, it's personal. It's personal for every family that you have charged me to represent. It's personal for every young person and every person of color and women, of course, who have been the victim of all the isms that we have all experienced. As this once in a lifetime generation pandemic stretches, we hear more and more about people clamoring to return to normal. I'm here to tell you that no matter what eventually recovery from COVID-19 looks like, our community can no longer go back to normal. There were certain demographics of people, normal was not working for them, primarily people of color. By any virtual metric, income, employment, health, housing, Black people and people of color were in crisis before COVID-19 even hit our community. It's no coincidence that many of the workers we now recognize as essential, like grocery store or warehouse workers, are underpaid and overwhelmingly not prepared for this crisis. The present crisis only exacerbates those long-standing inequities. We're already seeing some of these signs of the disparities. COVID-19 only highlighted it. You committed yourselves in our county to the cause of racial justice, starting with the 2-day racial equity training last year and setting aside dollars in this year's budget to expand on that foundation. Back in March, in the early weeks, with the stay-at-home order, you took another step by contracting with Raise the Bar, Courtney Kerrigan Performance Group to assist in developing our countywide racial equity initiative. While implementing the strategy, from developing racial workshops and training to internal coaching and county administration and tracking looks a bit different now. In our stage of social distancing and Zooming, journal sessions than we had envisioned before. We are committed to continue to do the work that we planned out to do when we started the Rise Together Poverty Blueprint Plan. In that plan, it was the people of this community who informed you as leaders that racism was an issue. So thank you for hearing them, and thank you for being proactive on this effort.
Roy. Now we welcome Dr. Arthur James from The Ohio State University, speaking on behalf of the Franklin County Board of Health and Franklin County Public Health. And Commissioner Joe Mazzola is in attendance as well. And I do believe that I saw Teresa Seagraves joining us this morning as well.
Good morning.
James, thank you.
Good morning, Board of Commissioners. This is Arthur James. I come to you this morning representing the Franklin County Public Health Board of Directors, who, as has been mentioned, passed this resolution 1 week ago. This effort is part of a growing effort throughout the United States, where cities and counties throughout the country have been going on record as declaring racism a public health crisis. If I use African Americans as an example, recall that last year we acknowledged the 400-year anniversary of African slavery in the United States. Chattel slavery in our country lasted for 246 years, followed by another 99 years of Jim Crow. So of the 401 years of African American history since the onset of slavery, 86% was spent during slavery and Jim Crow. That 86% of the time, this country has preferentially provided advantage to one group while simultaneously and intentionally providing disadvantage to another group. And it is that long history of that imbalance between advantage and disadvantage that, in my opinion, accounts more for the racial disparities that we see in almost any domain you care to mention. It's important for us to acknowledge that, because the dominant narrative throughout this country, throughout this state, and yes, within Franklin County, is that the disparities occur as a consequence of group level flaws amongst those of us of African ancestry. This declaration acknowledges that that is not the case, and that it ties more to that history than anything else. Even in the 56 years since passage of the 1964 Civil Rights Act, the playing field has never been level. We see that with mass incarceration, with a number of things that have been unveiled with this COVID-19 pandemic that we are experiencing. So that the acknowledgement that this resolution makes of racism as a public health crisis is the beginning of a long effort to mitigate the deleterious consequences of racism in this country and in our community. So I applaud you for your courage in taking this on. I also would like to acknowledge for a second the very hard work and tremendous leadership displayed by Health Commissioner Joe Mazzola and Assistant Health Commissioner Teresa Seagraves in passing this through the Franklin County Public Health. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. James, as well as Commissioner Joe Mazzola and Assistant Commissioner Teresa Seagraves. Now I'll turn to Christy Angel, CEO of our YWCA, and Jill Ollinger, Chief Mission Officer of the YWCA.
Morning, Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be with you via Zoom today. First of all, I want to commend.
Christian, by the
Yes.
way, we know that's a fake background you got there.
I know.
Just I want you to know that we know that. We can see that. So you're
I
not
like
fooling
to
anybody.
I like
Yeah.
to change it, from time to time, Commissioner, and make you think that I live in these, fabulous places with sun shining all of the time. A girl can dream. I want to thank you both the Franklin County Board of Health, Commissioner Joe Mazzola, Assistant Commissioner Teresa Seagraves, the Board of Commissioners, and everything that's been said thus far. YWCA Columbus, our mission is to eliminate racism and empower women, promoting peace, justice, freedom, dignity, and justice for all. 2 years ago, or nearly 2 years ago, you invited me as the leader of YWCA Columbus to join an effort and participate in the Rise Together steering committee. And the effort was to reduce poverty in our county. It is from that effort that the recommendation to declare racism a public health crisis was born, I believe. We are not obviously the only county in the country that is looking at that and is considering this, but this declaration is an important one to begin dismantling the systemic racism that has occurred, as Commissioner Arthur James just discussed, for basically over 80% of the lives of African Americans in the history of our country. We believe at YWCA Columbus, this is so important that it has become a cornerstone of our advocacy agenda this year. Largely because, yes, COVID-19 and the pandemic has disrupted and ripped a Band-Aid off of something that we've all known for far too long. And it has uncovered many of the disparities that many of us have discussed, and we discussed during the Rise Together steering committee process. And because of that, we, YWCA Columbus, began calling for disaggregated data from the governor's office and from our county health departments and city health departments. And of course, your health department was one of the first to oblige and to present that disaggregated data. But beyond the data is the work that we need to do, the policies we need to change, the services we need to appropriately fund to serve those communities of color, the frontline workers, the women who are suffering under all of those isms that Director Bivens mentioned, but also those that are receiving disparate services because of the systemic racism that has been embedded in our programs and policies for so long. And so this is an important step. I commend you as leaders in this community for taking this step, because we know that it can be uncomfortable, and the most important thing is not just to acknowledge it, but to now get to work. And so I'd like to just ask our Chief Mission Officer, Jillian Olinger, to state a few of the items that we recently stated in an op-ed piece that appeared in Columbus CEO just after the pandemic broke in this community. Jillian?
Thank you, Christy, and good morning, Commissioners. It is well known in the public health field that social determinants of health have an outsized influence on health outcomes. Factors like unequal access to safe water and housing, toxic stress caused by a lifetime of exposure to racism, and bias in medical care all contribute to worse health outcomes and increased vulnerability to COVID-19. Racial disparities in health existed well before the pandemic, but the pandemic has once again put these issues of structural disadvantage in high relief. It's important that as we think through recovery from COVID, it's not just about recovery from this immediate crisis, but rather a recovery that addresses the root causes of why we see such disparities. In a time of crisis, public officials are being asked to be extremely responsive. And we know that there can be a tendency to push concerns about racial equity to the side, even as racism is a driver and a consequence of the very decisions that led to disparities in the first place. But our officials are not doing that. Declaring racism as a public health crisis is how we begin to get to the root causes. This work is about normalizing conversations about race and operationalizing strategies for advancing racial equity. We need to leverage the urgency our community and partners are seeing with this pandemic and put in place policies and structures that undo the harm that has been wrought on minoritized communities for far too long. As an agency committed to eliminating racism, empowering women, and dignity for all, we support this bold step the county has taken and look forward to working with the commissioners and partners on this effort. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this morning.
Thank you, Christy and Jill. And now we'll turn to Nana Watson, President, NAACP Columbus Chapter.
Good morning, commissioners. I bring you greetings from the oldest and the boldest civil rights organization in America. I did that for Administrator Ken Wilson. He loves that. NAACP wants to commend you for declaring racism as a public health issue. We salute you for addressing the elephant in the room, which is racism. We salute you over and over again for doing that. Racism, as you know, is the cause of this country's social ills, housing, health, the list goes on. And NAACP has a 10-point equity implications of COVID-19. And guess what the number one point is? It's racism. The number one racism is that we want to help you eradicate racism in the county, and we need to take it further to the state, and we need to take it one step further. And I know that all of you will step up to the plate and do that. We support you, and we're going to stand beside you. And of course, we're going to monitor your success. Thank you so much for the opportunity to engage with you this morning. Be well.
Thank you, President Watson. Our final speaker this morning is Michael Corey, Executive Director, Franklin County Human Services Chamber.
Thank you so much. County Commissioners, for the opportunity to testify this morning in support of your move to declare racism a public health crisis. While this has long been true, its negative ramifications for all of us have rarely been so clear, not only in these United States, but across the globe. Just this morning, in an article in the BBC, there was a story about how the coronavirus is disproportionately affecting the British Asian community. And of course, in our own backyard, we know it's affecting people of color disproportionately from sea to shining sea. In our sector of health and human services, many of our 84 member organizations are driven by the express purpose of combating racism and all its ills. You heard from one of them already this morning in the YWCA Columbus. We're so grateful for Christy and Jillian's leadership as ever. But all our agencies, whether working in childcare, workforce, housing, food access, immigration, you name it, they all have seen and continue to see the many negative consequences of racism in public health, whether weaponized as policy and rhetoric by a public official, or weaponized by everyday men and women far away from the halls of power. This has long been true and continues to be so. But our agencies know that racism can be just as invasive, no matter its source, no matter who unsheathes it and wields it. Whether from a call center employee who fails to provide acceptable customer service to a client seeking medical care, or to, because they've heard their name and they perceive something about them, or from an elected official eager to withdraw critical health and human services like SNAP, housing subsidies, or the Affordable Care Act, or to redefine the federal poverty line just because. I've been ruminating a lot these days and on what our best thinkers have taught us. So I think about Du Bois and what he identified as the key problem of the 20th century, the color line. And then I think about another of our great thinkers, John Powell, the former director of the Kirwan Institute. He wrote recently, "The problem of the 21st century is the problem of othering. Othering undergirds territorial disputes, sectarian violence, military conflict, the spread of disease, hunger, food insecurity, and even climate change. To me, this underscores the breadth of the problem. our sector, our members, are on the front lines of addressing this crisis too. And we're grateful to the commissioners for their leadership in embracing this challenge as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Corey. And thank you all for your comments today. Commissioners, before we proceed, it's important to note that presenting and shaping this resolution has truly been a team effort. I'd like to thank County Administrator Ken Wilson, Director Michael Daniels, Lauren Rummel, Director of Government Affairs, all of the Commissioners' policy managers, especially Mike Cochran and Ross Goldsmith, and Clerk Dean Hindenlang for all of their input and support and getting this important ordinance to the agenda so quickly. Thank you all so much. And one more, I would like to respectfully, if I may, ask County Administrator Ken Wilson if he would like to make any comment before we move to the commissioners.
I'm going to be, thank you, Deputy Administrator Smith. I'm going to be extremely brief. This is a significant moment for Franklin County, and I'm proud to be just a small part of it. We've talked about coming to this point for quite some time. I appreciate the team within the county for being able to put this on the agenda within a tight timeline. But make no mistake, this is the product of months and months of contemplation. But the most important thing about this proud moment is I'm ready to be in the front, in the middle of the line, wherever I need to be to get to action, to execute the action steps, to follow the leadership of the commissioners, and let's continue to make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, County Administrator Wilson, and I would like to second that. Truly, truly proud to be a part of this moment. And now, pending any questions and of course your comments, commissioners, we respectfully request passage of this resolution.
Who wants to go first?
Go ahead.
You want me to go first? First of all, let me echo all the thank yous and acknowledgements that have been made to the folks who worked on this and the folks who are on the call today. I won't go through that again, but other than to say I agree, thank you to all of you for your work on this. But I'd like to take a minute to just recognize two of my favorite people, and that's Commissioner O'Grady and Commissioner Brown. I've worked at, like I said before, a lot of levels of government, and you'd be surprised at the level of the lack of support that often comes when you push a conversation about racism. And while I know folks see Commissioner O'Grady, Commissioner Brown, and myself, it seems like we agree on things all the time. We don't, but we work for the best interest of Franklin County. I can tell you we don't agree on things all the time, but this is one of those issues that we are rock solid on. We understand, and we have made a commitment and an investment in this in a way that I believe personally is going to make a difference and change things. I want to just point out, I mean, everyone's pointed out so many really important elements and taken many of my talking points. So I'll just point out one additional point, and that's this resolution also calls on the governor, the Speaker of the House, and the President of the Senate to join us in this declaration. The statistics speak for themselves. We don't have to sort of present, here's the data and here's the information. It exists, it is a fact, and it is what it is. At some point, our leaders have to join us in this fight. As Dr. James indicated, slavery existed in this country far longer than it hasn't existed currently. And what that means is the culture of racism is very much embedded in the systemic elements of the world that we live in today. It is up to us, the generations that exist on this globe today, that exist in America today, and in Franklin County today. It's on us to begin to turn that dial in a different direction. I'm so honored to have two colleagues that invest in this conversation as though it was their personal family. And I just can't tell you what that means for what I believe to be the outcome for a better tomorrow than there is today. I'm really excited about this resolution more than I have anything, because the boldness of it says that Franklin County will not tolerate racism at any level, in any segment of our population, or any sector of the discussions that feed our economy and feed our world. And so with that, I'm so honored to support this resolution. And it's a little bit disappointing. The dispatch can't be here today because our reporter that covers is on furlough. Nonetheless, I'm absolutely confident in our communication staff to put the calls in today over to the dispatch to ensure that this gets the right kind of exposure that it should, because we want to hear from the speaker and the governor and the president Senate we want to hear their response and if they will follow suit and join us in this declaration. So thanks everyone for your hard work. It's been a pleasure working with you on this.
Commissioner Boyce, I want to thank you and Commissioner O'Grady. This resolution is big, but the actions we take to support this and to support public health and the leaders in public health and our community to make this resolution what it claims to be are going to be even bigger. And I know we're up to the task. We've been working on the issues that the poverty blueprint identified for years, and we will continue to push forward and push through and not go back to normal, because we can't. We just can't. You know, when I moved here, I was shocked that people didn't talk about race in this community. We've pushed through, so people are now talking about race in this community, but talking isn't enough. And we've got to work to change what is. And you identified what is, and Dr. James identified, and Christy identified, and everybody's identified what is. And we can't keep on what is. It doesn't work. And it doesn't work for all of our residents. And we can't have a community that doesn't work for all of our residents. So this resolution is a big, bold idea, but it doesn't work unless we continue to press on and do the hard work that it takes to get us beyond the words on the paper. And Michael Daniels and all of the team that did the work of putting this resolution together with Kina and everybody else that put this together, the words are important and words matter, but it's not enough. And we're going to have to do that hard work day in and day out, as our team in all of our agencies know to do, to get this work done and to push our companies to get the work changed, to make the difference that needs to be made for all of our residents in the county and beyond. So I am honored to be at this place at this time in history, that we can come together as a group of public officials with all of our great team behind us, with us, next to us, with the NAACP, with the Human Service Chamber, with YWCA, with everybody with us. And I know I'm leaving people out, but everybody in the community together to help us get to where we need to be. And I am grateful that we have the right team at the right time, at the right place in history to make this so. So I am honored that we are here.
Well, I can't say it any better than it's already been said by everybody else. And normally, as the president, you get to have the last word. That's the nice thing. But today, it's a little tough to be the last person speaking after all the other people that have spoken this morning. Kevin, Marilyn, kind of pretty proud to be your partners today. I'm proud to be your partners every day, but real proud to be your partners today. I grew up in a family with parents who believed in justice, taught us all about justice. Grew up in a community with that family that taught us all about justice. So to be a part of, or to witness my whole life, a country that was set up from its inception for white men and women to be in control, for people of color to be held down, and to recognize that injustice my whole life. And now, throughout America, throughout Ohio, and now throughout Franklin County, and to see it firsthand over the last couple of years as we went through this exercise, and to know that it's happening in my community, this is, absolutely something that, needed and have wanted to be a part of. So to be here today at this moment is pretty special. Pretty proud to be a part of this with all of you. And means a lot. So let's make this resolution happen. Let's do this.
Well, I am happy to move approval of 34120.
And before I move for a second, I want to just say I failed to realize that the dispatch is on the call today. Rita Price is standing. Mark Kovac to apologize to the dispatch. With thanks, I second that motion.
Moved and seconded. Voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Absolutely, yes.
Resolution number 341-20 has been adopted.
Hey, can we take a break for like 5 minutes? I'm kidding. Yeah, I'm just
Nope.
Yeah,
Moving on. Okay. We are on to
The engineer.
the engineer. Follow that, Cornell.
Resolution number 326-20. Plans approved for the replacement of the existing structure on Man Road 0.50 over tributary of Rocky Fork Creek, JEF-TR 107-0.50, Jefferson Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning, and great article today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your leadership in that regard. And in fact, I'd like to talk about that briefly if I could, as per the invitation from President O'Grady. To start out with, my name is Cornell Robertson, county engineer for everyone in Franklin County. And you all realize that I hold public office, elected office. And for our audience members, many folks I don't think realize that. County engineer is not a real flashy, high profile elected office position. However, it's one that I'm very proud to hold.
You make it about as flashy as anybody can.
Thank you for that acknowledgement. But as a public office holder, I want to very clearly and publicly say that I am in full support of your declaration of racism as a public health crisis, as well as that of Health Commissioner Joe Mazzola. And I want to say that and provide some examples of action so that it's not just words, not just me talking. I'd like to give a shout out to Simone Burley, who is the Diversity and Inclusion Coordinator for the Franklin County Engineers Office. Simone joined our team a little less than a year ago, but already she has done wonderful things and has helped us out tremendously. One such action item is the development of a disadvantaged business enterprise program, DBE program, and that was put into effect on May 4th, and it is already part of a construction bid that will be let today for our resurfacing program. And Simone is helping us change the culture, and it's something that I have learned that diversity and inclusion needs to be lived every day for at least 5 reasons. First and foremost, it is the right thing to do. Diversity and inclusion increases performance. I have seen this. Diversity and inclusion increases innovation, it increases collaboration, and it leads us to indivisibility. So again, thank you for allowing me to go off course here for just a moment. And I do appreciate the leadership of the commissioners, and Keena Smith has been instrumental in helping us also stay on this correct road, so to speak. Thank you. All right, so now we'll move into the regularly scheduled program, my presentation for this first resolution. This is a capital improvement project in the northeast part of Franklin County in Jefferson Township. It's along Man Road and is a bridge over a tributary to Rocky Fork Creek. This project has been designed and is ready to move into the construction phase. So this resolution, I'm asking you all to, still with wet signature, approve and sign the title sheet, which I will deliver later on today if you approve this resolution. And quickly, I am in favor of someday moving towards electronic signatures on title sheets, but I too want to be very careful and cautious in this endeavor because there are many implications that go along with it, but I'm willing to explore it with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll move for approval of 32620.
Second. Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady. Commissioner O'Grady, you're on mute, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution number 326-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 327-20, Pannoni Associates Incorporated, consulting engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County engineer in providing engineering services for the Olentangy River Road 11.62 over Linworth Run Improvement Project, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $159,295.
Commissioners, as stated, this is a design contract with Pannoni. They will help us design a bridge replacement along Olentangy River Road over Linworth Run. This is north of Dublin Granville Road. And we use the qualifications-based selection process and would recommend your approval.
If there's no questions, I'll move for approval of 32720.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 327-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 328-20, preliminary allocation and final encumbrance of county motor vehicle license fee of $5 funds for the city of Bexley, totaling $45,499.15.
Commissioners, this is a $5 fund resolution for Bexley to help pay for their Cassidy Avenue reconstruction between Broad Street and Delmar Drive. This project was completed in 2008 by an OPWC loan, and this $5 fund resolution helps them pay for that loan. This is loan payment number 13 of 20. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval.
Move approval of 32820.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 328-20 has been adopted.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cornell. Domestic relations.
Resolution number 329-20, resolution authorizing a 3-year contract with Nationwide Children's Hospital for medical services totaling $900,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Barbara Reeves, Deputy Director. This resolution is requesting a 3-year contract with Nationwide Children's Hospital in the amount of $350,000 a year, which will provide emergency, outpatient, emergency dental, and pharmaceutical services for the youth at the Juvenile Intervention Center. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
I'll move approval of 32920.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 329-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 330-20, resolution authorizing a second amended agreement with Nationwide Children's Hospital for medical services in the amount of $350,000.
This resolution is requesting an amendment to a previous medical service contract with Nationwide Children's Hospital to extend the submission deadline for invoices to June 30th of 2020. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
If there's no questions, I'll move approval of 33020.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 330-20 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Barb. Thanks, Barb.
Thank you.
Emergency Management Agency.
Resolution number 331-20, resolution authorizing a first contract extension with Jess Howard Electric Company for outdoor warning siren maintenance and installation in the amount of $100,000.
Morning, Commissioners. Jeff Young, representing Franklin County Emergency Management and Homeland Security. Before you is a resolution to authorize a 1-year extension of the outdoor siren maintenance contract with Jess Howard Electric. Jess Howard Electric was awarded a 2-year maintenance contract in 2018 as the successful bidder in the request for proposal issued by Franklin County Purchasing. The previously approved contract allows for 3 successive 1-year contract extensions, and this is the first of those extensions. As part of this extension, Jess Howard agrees to continue the 2018 contract costs through the extension period. This service includes calls based upon our aggressive testing and monitoring program in place to ensure reliable operation of the outdoor sirens. While the siren system is tested, operated, and maintained by Franklin County Emergency Management and Homeland Security, each individual siren is owned by the local jurisdiction, with the operation and maintenance funded through a fee paid by each jurisdiction within our county. Our proactive testing and ongoing maintenance program has resulted in a siren fully functional rate of 99% for the previous year. I'll gladly answer any questions and ask for your approval of this resolution.
I'll move approval of 33120.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 331-20 has been adopted.
Thank you,
Sorry.
Commissioners.
Jeff, the sirens came plenty of time last night.
Yes, sir. And 2020 is shaping up to be a sporty year. We're watching the Olentangy. There's a reasonable amount of flooding and some concerning flooding along there, and we're working to keep ahead of that. Last night, we actually had a little bit of a communications glitch in the radio system for the sirens, but the one of the reasons we have staff on here is they were monitoring it and manually activated the system. So I was thinking of you. We actually rolled the system, started with just the zone that was Grove City in the southwest part of our county. And as it moved up through Hilliard, heading towards Dublin, I explicitly was thinking about you, Commissioner.
Well, I chuckled a little bit in that normally the storms come from west to east, and so the warning doesn't come. But when they were coming from south to north, I said, "Well, there you go. That's why we got plenty of notice last night." But yeah,
there you go.
They were going off well in advance of any nasty weather hitting my particular part of town, which is very unusual. But it was welcome. So anyway, I just chuckled and thought, well, Jeff Young's getting an A for this one, so that's for sure.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you defending the Western frontier.
No problem. No. All right, thanks. All right. The Veteran Services, how are you, Director Bramlish?
Fantastic this morning. Thank you. Good morning.
Resolution, Mr. Director, I'm sorry, one moment, please. Resolution number 332-20, resolution authorizing a contract modification and extension with Life Care Alliance to provide home delivered meals and emergency care to low income, chronically ill, disabled, and homebound veterans, spouses, and surviving spouses in the amount of $48,900.
Good morning and thank you. Again, Buck Brown, the Executive Director of the Veterans Service Commission. I just want to say that every day is a great day to be part of this county's government and support to all its citizens, but today especially. Thank you for all this county does. This resolution is a contract modification to allow us to continue our support with Life Care Alliance, and they do a great job providing home delivered meals to veterans that are homebound, chronically ill, and this would allow us to extend this program through September 30th.
Director, are you seeing a lot more veterans that are needing help with the pandemic?
Commissioner Brown, good morning. In fact, yes, we are. We're looking at, we focused on the last 8 weeks on food vouchers, and that food voucher amount that we've provided is up 300% compared to the same time frame as last year. We tried to streamline it, and real quickly we pivoted from a organization for 100 years that's operated based on face-to-face, and obviously like everybody else started operating remotely. Everyone's responded, our staff, the public, Sheriff's Department support as we implemented drop boxes, and so we've seen significant increases in food vouchers, and we did restart our rent, mortgage, and utility program last week, and we are looking to try to get ahead of that curve that we see coming, or that wave, I should say, that we see coming in those programs, and we expect certainly in the rent area to have the same type of increases.
Yeah, that's is food the main thing people are needing at this point?
When we pivoted our offerings when around March 18th, 19th, as we tried to figure out for a couple of days how to go from on-site face-to-face to remote, and then we looked at the moratoriums. We said, since there's moratoriums on those other key things like utilities and rent and mortgage, let's focus primarily on food, medical transportation, a couple of emergency dentals, but our dental program, which is huge, obviously dropped back 95%. So since we've opened up the rent, mortgage, and utility program just last week, we really do expect, especially the rent programs, to really, that need is going to be huge, and we're working with a lot of other partners, like Jobs and Family Services and community service, mediation services, et cetera.
And that's one of our larger issues that we're facing throughout the community. So anything we can do to be helpful, that would be, we've got so many partners that we're working with.
Yes, ma'am. We will continue to work with those partners. It's been fantastic.
Any other questions anybody has? Otherwise, I'll move approval of 332-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 332-20 has been adopted.
Commissioners, thank you.
Thank you.
Let us move on to Justice Policy and Program. Sorry, Mr. Daniels.
Resolution number 333-20, resolution authorizing receipt of the Franklin County Fiscal Year 2019 Services Training Officers Prosecutors Stop Violence Against Women Act Administrative Grant Award, and granting authority to the President of the Board of Commissioners to sign all acceptance documents and waivers related to the grant program in the amount of $22,956.84.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Daniels, Director of the Office of Justice Policy and Programs. Previously, you've already accepted the block grant portion of the fiscal year 2019 Violence Against Women Act. This is the administrative grant portion for your acceptance. Pending any questions, we'd ask for your approval.
I'll move approval of 333-20.
Second. Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
yes,
Resolution number 333-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 334-20, resolution authorizing an addendum to the consulting services agreement between Franklin County and Falcon Correctional and Community Services Incorporated for the provision of corrections training through the fiscal year 2016 Justice and Mental Health Collaboration Grant and granting authority to the county administrator to sign the service agreement addendum in the amount of $96,750.
Commissioners, this is using the 2016 Justice and Mental Health Collaboration funding that the Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Board asked us to partner with them to make sure that we were expending. This is a contract with Falcon Correctional. Dr. Falcon, I think most of you know, she was in during the process of designing or picking the designers and architects for the new jail. She's absolutely an expert in the area of suicide. Good morning, Savannah. She's absolutely an expert in providing consulting and training for suicide prevention so that the inmates and detainees inside the facility are kept safe. This will allow for every member of the corrections team, both the sworn deputies as well as the civilian staff, to receive online training in suicide identification and prevention from Dr. Falcon. Pending any questions, I'd ask for your approval.
Yeah. Hey.
Go
Before
ahead.
you move, thanks. Thanks, President O'Grady, too. Michael, do we do telemedicine access for mental health in our jail? So there's more sort of immediate access versus the times that the mental health professionals can be there?
So previous to COVID, I would have said the answer is no. Our contract with NAFCARE, Commissioner, actually provides for 24/7 on-site mental health professionals at both facilities. That was a part of the contract we negotiated with NAFCARE. Under the current circumstances, however, I do believe they have added telemedicine for a variety of different aspects, including mental health.
And then, thank you, Director Daniels. And then, and this may be a question for Chris Long, or maybe you can answer this. For the new facility, will we have sort of, is there a dedicated area for telemedicine, resources with regards to medical? I mean, how's that going to work in the new facility?
So the new facility has a state-of-the-art medical bay attached to it, with beds that can be used for both physical and mental health, and that can be configured and moved around on the fly to accommodate different sorts of medical conditions, as well as to accommodate male, female, or transgender inmates, depending upon who needs those services. And telemedicine is absolutely a part of the process that's being built into the new jail. I would also say, along the lines of this suicide prevention, the new facility also has the absolute best practice and most current state-of-the-art suicide prevention things, such as the types of netting that are put on railings, the way the steps are designed, just things that weren't thought about when these current facilities were built, but which absolutely will save lives and also protect the staff who work there.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll move approval of 334-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
yes,
Resolution number 334-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
all right, now on to, we are on to, I lost my place. Public Facilities Management, good morning, Darla.
Resolution number 335-20, resolution authorizing execution of a lease agreement with the Franklin County Child Support Enforcement Agency for leased space in the Franklin County Fulton Street building in the amount of $111,863.69.
Good morning, Commissioners. Darla Reardon, Director, Public Facilities Management. This resolution is a 3-year lease agreement with the Child Support Enforcement Agency that maintains office space in the Fulton Street building located at 80 East Fulton Street. This is a renewal of the lease agreement that allows for the agency's use of the space. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
I'll move approval of 33520.
Second. Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 335-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 336-20, resolution authorizing execution of a lease agreement with the Franklin County Sanitary Engineering Department for leased space in Franklin County Memorial Hall in the amount of $41,210.39.
The second resolution is also a 3-year lease agreement with the Franklin County Sanitary Engineering Department. The sanitary engineer maintains office space in Memorial Hall located at 280 East Broad Street. This is a renewal of the lease agreement that allows for the department's use of the space. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
I'll move approval for resolution 33720.
Second. I'm sorry, Commissioner, it's 336-20.
33620, sorry.
Commissioner Boyce.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 336-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 337-20, resolution authorizing recycling of information technology equipment declared obsolete by the Franklin County Automatic Data Processing Board.
Monthly, this agency is asked by the Data Processing Board to assist with the disposal of obsolete surplus IT equipment. We do so in a manner consistent with this board's commitment to promote sustainable principles in our policy decisions and programs. Pending any questions, we request your approval to dispose of this e-waste.
Move approval of 33720.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 337-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 338-20, resolution authorizing the county administrator to execute a modification to the contract with Pizzuti Solutions LLC to provide master space planning services, specifically addressing impact of COVID-19 on the county's master plan and county facilities.
Pizzuti Solutions LLC has been facilitating and conducting a comprehensive space planning evaluation of the county's space needs to develop an updated master space plan. This resolution authorizes the county administrator to execute a modification to the contract with Pizzuti to provide master space planning services, specifically addressing the impact of COVID-19 on the county's master plan and facilities. It is critically important that the master plan recommendations are representative of possible changes due to COVID-19 on how agencies may operate moving forward, such as teleworking and staggered work schedules, and of physical social distancing needs for employees and the public. There is also an immediate need to identify and implement facility protection measures necessitated by COVID-19, such as the design and implementation of plexiglass barriers and structural redesign of lobby-level county spaces. The contract modification described in this resolution shall not exceed $1.5 million. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution. Thank you.
I'll move approval of 33820.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 338-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Purchasing Department.
Resolution number 339-20, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $2,104,030.25.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Balanier, Director of Purchasing.
This resolution requests your approval of 50 purchase orders for which the county auditor has pre-certified available funding. This week's 6 out of 13 eligible POs totaling $174,134.28 are being presented for award to 3 minority business enterprises and 3 women business enterprises. This represents 46% of the eligible PO volume and 71% of the eligible PO dollar value. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
Move approval of 33920.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 339-20 has been adopted.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Clerk, do we have, I know we have journalizations today.
We do, Commissioner, indeed. 2 from Economic Development and Planning. The first, case number ANX-09-20, an expedited type 2 annexation petition, ANX-09-20, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on May 5th, 2020. The petition is requesting to annex 2.044 more or less acres from Franklin Township to the city of Columbus. The petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on June 9th, 2020. Site 1316 Harrisburg Pike, PID number 140-003269, and 1322 Harrisburg Pike, PID number 140-003271. The second, case number ANX-10-20, a regular annexation petition, ANX-10-20, was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on May 5th, 2020. The petition is requesting 0.54 more or less acres from Jackson Township to the city of Grove City. It will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on July 14th, 2020. Site, Demarest Road, PID number 160-000929, and Demarest Road, PID number 160-001593.
Okay, great. Well, that concludes our business for May 19th. We'll see everybody next week. We are late to our briefing meeting, so we will see everybody next week. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.